Hello, and welcome to Chin Hairs and F-Bombs Conversations with Girlfriends. This is your gal pal Sal, also known as SallyAnn Gray. I am here today with my lovely friend Lynne. Yay, Lynne, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So Lynne would have been on the podcast way sooner, but we just couldn't get our act together on scheduling. We've been talking about doing this podcast for 6 months. Today, we are going to talk about ADHD. I'm SallyAnn Gray. The listeners have heard from me before. Y'all know I'm a Midwesterner living in Portland, Maine. Lynne, tell us who you are.
I don't know how to answer that question. I once asked ChatGPT how it would describe me to a friend, and it was shockingly thoughtful and moving to read a robot who has only helped me rewrite emails.
Okay, what did ChatGPT say about you?
All right. This is how ChatGPT describes me based on our many, many conversations. Hi, I'm Lynne. I live in Portland with my partner, 2 kids, and a cat I don't even like. I love the outdoors, reading, and learning new things. I'm currently dipping my toes into novel writing and Cuban salsa dancing.
Oh my God, that was really good. So I would like to tell our listeners how we know each other, which is from the co-working space. Mm-hmm. So shout out to coworkers and Heather in Portland. Mm-hmm. I was working there, you were working there, and I knew I wanted to be your friend. How kind of embarrassing and cheesy is that?
How cute. How very sweet of you.
Aw, okay. We'll go with that. You were doing workshops about the software You Need a Budget, also known as YNAB. And I was like, sure, yeah. And today, Sally does not know if I signed up for that just to get to know you.
Who is this lady that loves budgeting so much?
I was like,
who does that?
I want to be her friend. And so I went to your workshop, learned a lot.
You know, YNAB is 20 as of 2024. And it made me realize that YNAB is my longest, healthiest relationship of my life. We've been together for almost 21 years now.
So you've used it since the beginning?
Oh, yeah. I used YNAB since before it was software. It was just a really intense spreadsheet.
Yeah. I bet it was.
It was so nice. That was a spreadsheet I wish I still had that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Dreamy.
That is wonderful. My friend Wendy has called me Spreadsheet Sally before. I do love a spreadsheet.
I actually have a mug at my office that says, "Lady in the streets, freak in the spreadsheets." I also have that on a t-shirt.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Anyway, go on. You were talking about how great I am.
Yes, obviously. So I was like, I want to be friends with her. And then I don't know what the next step after the workshop was. Maybe I was like, do you want to get coffee? I don't fucking know.
And I was probably like, oh my God, why is this cool girl talking to me? I was like, I'm over here being a nerd about budgets.
That deeply appeals to me. It's made in heaven.
And that's why we're friends.
Yes.
That's why you're my gal pal Sal.
Yes, so Lynne is how I got the nickname Gal Pal Sal. Love it very much. Mm-hmm. So that was 8 years ago or something.
Forever ago.
It was a lifetime ago. But we became friends at the co-working space. Neither of us work there anymore, but
here we are.
Here we are.
Still palling it up. Still, every time we can get together, still enough to talk about that we have to bring a notebook for writing it all down.
True. Yes, we do. We need to write down our topics, cross them off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is probably an ADHD technique.
Oh, yeah.
Because, we're just always hopping full of ideas.
Yeah. Shiny objects, new ideas.
And also trying to be respectful and present in the conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
And you thought of that, which is a great way to do both of those things. Of I'm going to remember this. I'm going to put this somewhere so that it doesn't get lost, but also that I'm going to come back into the moment that we're in.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that because I want to talk about the tactics that we use to survive life without looking like assholes or acting like assholes. Right?
Yeah. Well, we're doing our best.
That's all we're doing. Okay. All right. I am going to add a disclaimer here before we start really talking about ADHD that it turns out Lynn and I, neither of us are doctors.
That is correct.
I'm not even a scientist. I'm not an astronaut. So,
No,
and you're not a doctor?
I'm not. I am a business lady and a spreadsheet nerd. But
Yes.
I am not a doctor.
Not doctors. So anything that we say here, it is just our personal experience. And if you listening are thinking about yourself or a loved one in ADHD, please talk to a doctor next. Or Google, but also a doctor. Okay, that is the end of my disclaimer. Let's talk about ADHD. I wanted to start by pointing out that there are two different types of ADHD. One is the hyperactive, and that presents itself in kind of more stereotypical little boy type behavior of acting out, not being able to focus, too much energy, kind of wild and out.
Yeah, it's very physical.
Yeah, and disruptive.
Yes.
And the other ADHD is the inattentive style. And that is typically more females have this one. And it tends to fly under the radar because it is not wild and out. It is not as external presenting.
But it's not as disruptive to other people.
Yeah, but deeply disruptive to the person that has it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And I know, I mean, if you're elderly like I am and like you are, no offense, you may remember what we now think of as ADHD inattentive type. When I was growing up, that was ADD versus ADHD.
Right. Yeah.
Like ADHD was like the crazy, like you know, and then ADD was like, you just start paying attention very well.
Exactly. Yeah. So the inattentive type is easily distractible. Again, the hard time focusing, but it is quieter. And women are underdiagnosed because this one is so quiet. And often women just tell ourselves, girls and women, tell ourselves, we're the problem. It's just us. Everybody can do it. And we just kind of muscle through.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of times, speaking for myself, inattentive type ADHD is what I have been diagnosed with. And so that for me, yeah, it just shows up as like having a harder time getting things done in a reasonable amount of time. And so for me, one of the ways that that showed up was just thinking that I wasn't as good at, you know, a lot of things that other people were. Like, I just thought I needed to be more organized. Needed a better, you know, because it's a classic ADHD thing / life thing. I just thought I needed a better planner. You know, like,
Yeah.
I thought I needed a better, and I did need a better planner, but that was not actually what the problem was.
Right. Right. That's a coping still. Like, that's a tactic, but it is not the problem.
Yeah, but it didn't show up in like fidgeting or to some extent that stuff, you know, impacts me. But it's what was more disruptive to me was like that feeling like I don't know why I can't get places on time. Why am I late everywhere I go? Why can't I like just stay on task? Why can't I just do X, Y, and Z? And, you know, and really feeling like that was a lack of organization and focus and willpower. And it turns out that wasn't what it was.
Right. The destructive messages that I told myself were along the lines of, everyone else can do this, why can't you? And totally blaming myself, absolutely thinking that it was a willpower thing that I needed to fix.
Yeah. It felt like everybody else knew what they were doing. And I just kept thinking, this isn't that hard. I'm like, why am I making this so hard? Like, everybody else can do this. And it was over little things. You sent me that meme the other day that was like, if you get good grades, they just let you raw dog ADHD your whole life, which is so true because it didn't show up in like, you know, not doing my homework. It showed up in doing my homework and then not remembering to turn it in. like stuff like that. Or alternately, I would spend endless amounts of time on the homework and I would need an extension because I had like really gone down this insane rabbit hole on it. Or, just like things like that, they weren't as obviously problematic. They just looked in my life a lot of the time as you just need to kind of get your shit together.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. So for me, ADHD wasn't apparent in school. Mm-hmm. I mean, when I went to college, I had to learn how to study, but that was kind of like I had never had to do it before, and it was like a new skill I had to learn. Yeah. But it didn't impact me so much in college. When it really showed up and was like, hi, you can't ignore me, is when I started working for myself. Mm-hmm. And that's when the distractibility was just like, and some of this has to do with accountability and like external forces and like things that you put in place to help you get over those things or work through or with or around those struggles. But yeah, it really became more of a problem in my life. And I didn't even know it really existed until I started working for myself and tried to start writing a book.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have a similar timing. Like I noticed it more in grad school, but it wasn't even so much that I noticed because I was just like, well, I'm in grad school. Of course, I'm having a hard time getting everything done. We are all having a hard time getting everything done. Yeah. And like, that's just what it's like. And also, I was so tired all of the time that I did multiple sleep studies for narcolepsy. Wow. Because I was like, I'm falling asleep in the middle of conversations. I'm falling asleep in class. I'm falling asleep at stoplights. Like, I am falling asleep all the time. What's going on? And like, my doctors were like, we have no idea what's wrong. So they actually put me on Ritalin. And I was like, that's so much better. And they were just like, we don't know what's wrong with you, but there's something going on that is making you exhausted. And then I have since realized, I was like, oh, it's because I was working like 100 times harder than everyone else who was doing the same stuff.
That's so true. So that's my theory about having a condition like that. Okay. So ADHD, depression, anxiety, CPTSD. So when you have those sort of conditions and you're not medicated, you are operating at a deficit. Like everyone else can operate here. Like all the neurotypicals can operate here. No one listening can see where my hand is, but it's up. But when you have like it's handicapping you and your capacity, your ability, you were exhausted because you were trying so fucking hard. Like that makes absolute sense.
Yeah. Well, and then I had a baby and started working for myself basically at the same time. And that's when I really was like, there's something really wrong. Oh my God, I can't do this. And it was really, I mean, it was still a couple of years before I figured out what it was. But that's really when it kind of went off the rails of like, oh, I really can't. There is no planner that will fix this.
Yeah.
But God knows I tried a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I had the layers of reminders and alarms and post-it notes and,
yes,
just really, really strict habits that like at this point I really relish like my habits, my routines, but they're very forgiving and, I'm nice to myself about them. And it's hard for me to even imagine having been nice to myself during that time because being hard on myself was the only way I got anything done.
Oh man, that's rough.
It's real rough.
So you were getting shit done, but you were being really mean and hard on yourself.
Yeah. Ugh. Which now I look back and, I'm like, wow, that wasn't working well enough for me to be that shitty to myself. But, I was like, really, the only way I could make sure that the things that needed to happen got done. And I was like, just so strict with myself of like, you have to do this. You could never do that. Always this way, never like that. Because otherwise it was just chaos.
So that's another thing about not getting diagnosed for a long time is you said this, and I experienced it too, that when you went into the doctor and was like, hi, maybe I have this, they uncovered for you that you had put all of these coping strategies in place so that you could live your life successfully. And all those coping strategies that you thought were just like, this is how people live or whatever, this is how I get things done, or actually...
It's like a scaffolding that I was creating in order to be able to do anything.
Yeah, it was your way of surviving with unmedicated or untreated ADHD.
Yeah, and I remember when I first was going through the diagnosis process, they were like, well, you're already doing everything we would recommend that you do. Are you sure you need medication? And I was like, yeah, I wouldn't be here if this was working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've already done everything and it's still not working. I've run out of things to try. Yeah. So here I am looking for the next thing. I'm like, yes, I've been very successful getting to my mid-30s before it even occurred to anyone, hey, maybe this isn't just Lynn's not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my therapist told me one time, she said, I was like, well, I've been working really hard at whatever it was. And she goes, yeah, you work hard at everything. She's like, you work harder at everything more than anyone I know. She's like, you work harder at fun. You work harder at all the things. Because I was just like, that's what I had to do.
Right. Isn't it so gratifying when a third party, hopefully unbiased third party, tells you shit like that? Because you can't see that. You don't know I'm working harder than other people.
Yeah, I felt lazy.
Yep. Yeah, you do feel lazy.
I felt like, how could you possibly say I'm working harder than everybody else? Because look at my life. Like, it's not even as good as what I think other people's lives are like, let alone better, which is what it should be, quote unquote, if I'm working harder than everybody else.
So I think some of that is a story we're telling ourselves, though, right?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we're saying, like, oh, everybody else has it figured out. Everybody else's life is really great, blah, blah, blah. And it's, like, just not true. But
yeah, well, and I mostly was just like, other people managed to get places on time.
Right.
And I was like, if I'm working so hard, then why can't I do that?
Yeah. The links that I have gone to become this person who is early for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so much anxiety.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I realized after starting to get treatment how much of my anxiety was ADHD. I mean, I still, don't get me wrong, I still have also regular anxiety. But a lot of it, I noticed a massive decrease in my anxiety symptoms when I started medication, especially. But a lot of, I mean, that coincided too with me just having a diagnosis and having the realization like, oh, this isn't me not trying hard enough. Like, this has never been me not trying hard enough. Like, that's not what that was. And just sort of revisiting all of those stories that I've told myself and going, oh, that's not what that was.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention that the feeling of relief when someone official tells you that you have ADHD and it turns out you're not lazy or an asshole or an idiot or whatever those things are that you have told yourself. The amount of relief and relief from shame.
Oh, like, just huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Like, that alone, even if you don't pursue medication, just like finding out that your brain works differently and that's what's going on is such a relief. And I also want to talk about, like, you and I both self-diagnosed before we went the official route. And there's a lot of talk in the world about, like, self-diagnosis versus like official diagnosis in terms of a lot of different things. Sure, ADHD, autism as well, because it can be really difficult, time-consuming, expensive to get a diagnosis for certain things, for lots of things. And so some people don't value self-diagnosis. And I'm not one of those people. I value self-diagnosis. I know that we can go wrong.
Right.
I know Dr. Google is dangerous, but I see it more like I'm learning more about myself. You know, self-diagnosis has so much to do with the research that you do. And good, like we're educating ourselves. And I spent a lot of time thinking, I don't know if I have ADHD, like years going, I don't know, maybe I do, maybe I don't. And I talked to multiple therapists about it. And one, I think it was a psychiatrist, said to me, she said, you know, I don't think it matters if you do or don't have ADHD. If some sort of coping strategy or tool is working for you, do it. And I was like, that's really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think there is a lot. I mean, I think self-diagnosis is just sort of its own thing. And I think there is a lot of value in it for that reason, you know, just kind of allowing yourself to acknowledge, like, hey, maybe this isn't me not working hard enough. And like, what kinds of things could be helpful? Like, what are people doing? Yeah. Like, what would it be like to talk to people who have, you know, who are experiencing something similar to what I'm experiencing, whether it has a name or not? And, you know, with ADHD in particular, if I hadn't self-diagnosed myself, no one would ever have diagnosed me.
True.
Like that was, you know, as usual, that was something that I figured out, and I went and I did all of the work for it, and I fixed it, and I made sure somebody paid attention, and then it got done. You know, like, because that's how I'd lived my whole life. But I was like, well, I think this is what's going on. And obviously, if I didn't have ADHD, that wouldn't have gone anywhere. But I'm the one who talked to a doctor and said, hey, we need to talk about this. And they're like, oh, well, I don't know. And I was like, okay, different doctor.
Nice.
You know, and I was like, here, let me gather all of these pieces for you that I've sort of done all this research. I mean, you and I have talked before in like different context of like, if I'm bringing something to somebody else and saying, I need you to do something about this, it is because I have already spent years trying to make it my own problem. I have already done all of the work you could possibly do to fix it without letting anybody know I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So getting to the doctor, I was like, nope, we're doing this. Like, you're going to do a whole evaluation, and whatever the answer is, that's the answer. But like, I need you to take this seriously. And if I hadn't self-diagnosed, that would never have happened. No doctor had ever looked at me and gone, oh, there's something wrong, because I did a really good job of coping.
Yeah. Suffering in silence.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
really good at that.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. Yeah.
One of my many skills, one of the many things I'm great at, is not letting anybody know how uncomfortable I am or how hard I am working to seem really chill.
Oh my God. Like the duck with the feet under the water.
Yeah.
Paddling furiously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I would love to talk about your symptoms. I mean, we touched on this. You've mentioned a lot of your symptoms. Everybody has different symptoms. We all present in different ways. You and I both have the inattentive type. My son has the hyperactive. I didn't mention earlier, but there's the combined type where you have both. So tell me about your symptoms.
It's funny, like before I got diagnosed, I don't know that I would have named anything as a symptom.
Yeah.
Other than like anything that rose to the occasion of medical intervention, other than being really, really tired all the time. Because, over the years, I went to many doctors being like, why am I so tired? And, I had gone to doctors about anxiety and that sort of thing. But I don't know that I would have noticed that any of those other things were symptoms, because I just thought I wasn't good at life, because like they didn't show up as like, oh, I can't focus. It was just like, well, I better try harder to focus. They felt like things I should have been able to do.
Right.
Whereas like anxiety and being so exhausted that you can't function are like clearly not that. I mean, at least they got to the point where I was like, this is obviously something else. But looking back now, like I'm able to recognize some of it is just sort of like, I'll be talking to my partner and I'm like, what's going on in your head right now is, oh, I was just thinking about this work thing. And I was like, so just that, huh? Like just one, you had one thought? I was like, I don't know what that's like. And I was like, I'm like, it's fireworks in here all the time. You know, there's just always something popping off or you know, like we joke around a lot that I will be quote unquote about to say something, but then I say that out loud. I said, oh, this is the thing I was about to say. And then I say it out loud because it's just like some dumb thought that my brain was like, what if you said this? And it's always something absurd or like about a totally different topic. But like that kind of, you know, like almost like a popcorn popper in my brain. Like now I'm like, oh, that's something, that's an ADHD kind of thing, you know, where like I'm always thinking about a million things and not holding on to those things. They're very flitting all over the place. So there's always a zillion lists. Like every pocket of every pair of jeans that go through the laundry has 2 or 3 to-do lists in it.
Oh my God, I love lists so bad.
Meanwhile, my partner one time, he was talking about how the whiteboard that he uses at work was getting full and he thought he might try writing it down on a notepad. And I was like, do you think you just invented to-do lists? I'm like, how did you get to this point in your life and you don't have a to-do list? And I was like, not only do I have a to-do list, but I have like multiple layers of to-do lists on my person at all times. There's like the digital one that has all of the things, including all the things I want to do in 10 years, you know, and then there's like the thing I need to do in the next hour. I'm like, what are you talking about? So like that kind of thing, I'm now able to go, oh, not everybody's doing that. Wow. You know, and he's sort of the other extreme of things, but, you know, always having sort of like really creative ideas and so many ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, but just having a really hard time. One other thing that happens for me is I have a really hard time with time management. And really what that shows up for me is, you know, they refer to it as like time blindness.
Yeah.
So like, I just have a really hard time experiencing how much time has gone by. And so even now, like I use a lot of timers and reminders and not as many as I used to, but, you know, I routinely, if I'm getting ready in the morning, I just have like a recurring 5-minute timer just to go, oh, 5 minutes has gone by. And I'll like set it, I'll be like, okay, when this goes off again, you should be brushing your teeth. Like, like if you haven't got to that point, oops, we've gotten distracted. You know, like stuff kind of like that, because otherwise I'll, you know, because a lot of times I will just, you know, I'll just get into something and then look up and, oh God, where did all that time go?
Right.
So,
Because while you're easily distracted, you do have an ability to hyper focus, right? That's kind of a misnomer or misunderstanding often about ADHD is that a lot of people might think, oh, you can't focus at all. It's like, well, I can't focus on shit that's not important to me. That's for sure. But I can hyper focus on something I find super interesting.
Yeah, well, I heard it described one time. They're like, attention deficit seems like the wrong term. It's not so much that I don't have enough attention, is that I have no control over what I'm paying attention to. It's like, I can't decide this is the thing I'm going to pay attention to and for how long. It's like, I can try, and then I'm thinking about something else. Meanwhile, if it's, like you said, if it's something I'm interested in, like 6 months ago, maybe, which is to say, fully medicated with lots of treatment. But, you know, my partner left me alone for the day, and I got up in the morning and I started messing around on genealogy websites, which was my obsession of the moment. And I shit you not, it was 14 hours before I stopped. I didn't eat. I didn't use the bathroom. It was 14 hours. There was like a point in maybe like 2:00 in the afternoon. I was like, Jesus, I should probably eat. And then I just went back into it. And then I was like, oh, it's bedtime. Wow. Wow, what is wrong with me? I'm like, I am an adult woman and I am like good at stuff. I'm way better at life than almost anyone I know. And I just did that. So like, you know, when you kind of get into something, it's really just difficult to understand like how much time has gone by.
Yeah. Well, so my son has ADHD, and one way that it has been like described to me is that the neurodivergent brain can focus on what's interesting but not what's important.
Yeah.
Whereas a neurotypical brain can identify this is important, therefore I have to do it. And a neurodivergent brain goes, fuck that, I don't give a shit.
You're like, I don't care.
Yep.
Yeah, I just don't
care.
Yeah, it's very interest based. I mean, I still will find myself falling asleep when my daughter wants to do like imaginative play, which I think is the worst kind of play.
You're so creative. It's kind of funny.
I know, I'm just like, oh God. It's not for me. I'm just not interested in that.
So regarding my symptoms, here's where I got tripped up, is that it is really hard to know what's an ADHD symptom versus what's, I don't know, depression, anxiety, CPTSD. I've said that to her a couple times. Complex PTSD is what I'm talking about. There's a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
So complex PTSD has memory issues, easily distractible, procrastination. Okay. Depression symptoms include inability to get shit done. That's a technical term.
Yes.
Trouble concentrating, procrastination. Anxiety symptoms include difficulty concentrating, irritability, procrastination.
Yeah, it's like, how are we supposed to know?
Yeah.
Especially if we are the kind of people who are just like, well, I'm having a hard time focusing, and so I'm going to go do a bunch of Google research on how to make this better and what techniques are working for people, and I'm going to do those things.
Yep.
And we do. But it's still really hard. Kind of like what you said about the things that work for you. It's like, it kind of doesn't matter which one. It's all of those things. It's none of those things. It's one of them more than the others, but they're all part of it. But it does make it really hard to figure out, like, do I really have ADHD? Is that really what's going on? Or is this one of the other things that I already know or suspect or what have you is going on that maybe is impacting me?
Yeah. It took me a really long time to choose to pursue medication because of this questioning that I had of like, well, is it ADHD or is it something else? And that idea that I borrowed from my psychiatrist of, if the tools work, use them. And I thought, well, you know what? If the tools work, I'm good. And I finally was like, I'm going to pursue and see about the medication thing. And I have a great doctor who I've talked about before. I love her. And I really appreciated her perspective of, let's just try it. We can try medicine. And if it works, fantastic. And if it doesn't, stop taking it. And I was like, oh, I've never thought of it before.
Yeah.
I don't know why it just seemed like a really big deal.
Well, I know for me, I've had similar feelings and just feeling like I needed to like earn it by making it needed to be worse. Yeah. It needed to be not only as bad as other people I knew who had ADHD, but it needed to actually be much worse.
Right.
Because I'm a very capable adult.
Yeah.
And so if I have ADHD, my life needs to be in fucking shambles.
It has to be on fire.
Yeah.
Like what is that? Why are we doing that?
Like, I just really felt like I needed to, you know, and I've experienced this in other areas of my life, of just feeling like it needs to be bad enough for me to warrant making a change that feels that big. But like looking back, I'm like, that's not that big of a change.
Right. Agreed.
It's really not. It's just asking your doctor, who's literally a professional in knowing which one of those things it is.
And and they like have your best interest in mind. I mean, it's like, yeah, I know, but it was kind of a big deal for me, I guess.
Yeah. It feels like a really big deal.
Yeah.
To like kind of initiate.
So I'll talk about my symptoms. Executive dysfunction, a term that I love. Let me be more specific. I have a terrible memory. My working memory is very bad. Difficulty focusing, easily distractible, issues with task completion. Yup. Love to start things, not great at finishing things.
Well, that's boring.
Yeah, exactly, because the beginning is the fun part.
Yeah, it's
But I told myself I'm an asshole, right?
Yeah.
Like that I have a million hobbies, but...
Yeah, well, because we've made it a crime to to not finish things that you start. We make this like a personality flaw.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I think quitting is underrated. Mm-hmm. I think there are so many times when we should quit, but we're like, no, can't be a quitter. Fuck that. Be a quitter. If something's not working for you, fucking quit.
Yeah.
Ugh, gross. Okay. Other ADHD issues, troubles planning and prioritizing, whoopsies, hypersensitivity to criticism. That's a real thing. Mm-hmm. That's a real thing, and I have that. Other things that I've learned more about over time and about myself is ADHD overwhelm.
Yeah. That was honestly probably the thing that drove me to the doctor. I was like, I am so overwhelmed all the time. I thought initially I was like, maybe I just need more anxiety medication because I'm like shutting down.
Yeah. Right. So my friend Julie uses the term flooded. Mm-hmm. I love that. That works for me. I get overwhelmed. I get flooded. It's sensory overload, too many sounds. You know that one. Too many people, too much stimuli. Oh man, I get overwhelmed so easily. I don't love crowds. I get overwhelmed a certain time of the day. I call 4:00 my witching hour.
Yeah, I get overwhelmed even now. There are some things that just really do me in. Like I remember a number of years ago going to a restaurant and there was like a bunch of she things on the menu that I didn't know what they were. And I just felt kind of stupid. And then I realized that it was like communal tables. And so I just started crying.
I'm sorry.
I was like, I can't do this. To go.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So related to that, one of the things I realized is an ADHD symptom is auditory stuff. So auditory processing, it's like made me realize I'm like, oh, that's why I have a really hard time learning if I just hear something. But writing it down, yep, great. Even if I can hear it and then write it down as it's happening. Or like misophonia. I thought it was so stupid for having the reaction that I would have to certain sounds. Specifically, the one that is worse for me, which is really common, is mouth sounds. And I would react with the purest rage, like the most PMS hormone rage that you've ever felt, the minute I could hear somebody's mouth when they were eating. And I was just like, what kind of person reacts like this? Like, what kind of giant asshole am I that I am yelling at my kids for eating? I'm like, of course they don't have fabulous table manners. And I was like, this is clearly not the only thing that's going on. So related to that, we went on vacation. And so I have to help with misophonia and having a hard time with a lot of background sounds, but in particular, the sounds that my children make. Not the nice ones, but all the other ones. I have like a series of increasing strength earplugs. So I have some that are supposed to just like filter out annoying sounds, which is...
Sounds like magic.
Sounds delightful. That sounds really nice. And then I have ones that are just sort of reducing the sound a little bit. And then I have like more intense things for various things. But I always am, using the kind of lighter weight ones, just like at dinner or, so I can still hear what people are saying and I can still be part of the conversation. But it sort of dampens those kinds of sounds, which is important because otherwise I'm a raging maniac. So we went on vacation out of state and I realized as soon as we parked the car, I was like, where are my earplugs? And they weren't in the car. They weren't there. They just weren't there. And I was like, oh, well, we have to find them. And I'm like trying to find them. And everyone's like, oh, I don't know. I can't find them. Ooh, just kind of looking at me like, whoa, what are we going to do? And I'm like, we're going to freak the fuck out is what we're going to do. We're going to be crying in this fucking children's aquarium is what we're going to do. I'm going to yell at some manta rays is what I'm going to do until you bring me somewhere to buy some new earplugs or I'm going home. I was like, you can't expect me to spend time with my family for days without earplugs. Yeah. I'm like, I really couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
But everything
like-
got better when you figured out it's the sound.
It's the sound.
You did some things for dinner specifically
Oh, yeah.
that made it so that you didn't have to hate your family.
It made such a huge difference in like my relationship with my stepdaughter because she had, she had poor table manners like all children do. But some of it too was just that she just had it was a different set of bad table manners than my kid did. And so I wasn't as used to it. And it was just really hard for me. And so, and it was because we didn't have a lot of other parts of our relationship. So much of our relationship just became me being like, please chew with your mouth closed. Please chew with your mouth closed. Please chew with your mouth closed. I was like, this is not the relationship that I want to have with this kid. And also, realizing that it was not me just being an asshole. Yeah. Was really helpful because I would be like, I have a thing. It's like a real, actual thing. And I sure wish I didn't. And here are the things that I'm doing to help cope with that. But here are the things that I need you to do to help me. Mm-hmm. And we're going to just do our part to kind of meet in the middle. And it's not going to be perfect, but it will be better because that's important. Yeah. It's important that we can kind of get here. And being able to show like, this isn't me not trying hard enough. Like, look how this is not me not trying hard enough. And here are the things that I am doing. And it's only getting me so far. And I'm going to ask you to take a couple of steps in my direction. Yeah. And then listening to music absolutely every time we're eating. With this speaker directly behind me. Wearing my low-key earplugs every mealtime. I mean, that has made a huge difference. It's not flawless by any means now, but it just massive, massive changes. Yeah. But like things like that, of having the subtitles on TV always.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Because I can't hear it if I can't read it.
I can't hear it if I can't read it either. Yeah. And I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
I really love what you said. And I think I've heard you say it before. This isn't me not trying hard enough. Mm-hmm. You were saying that about the sound. But that's
true.
All of it.
All of it.
Right. This isn't me not trying hard enough. This is a condition that I have. It is a real thing. And I am trying really, really hard. And I need some supports.
Yeah. Yeah. And that can look a bunch of different ways. It's earplugs. It's, can you change this behavior that's easy enough for you to change? It's, medication and layers of planners and reminders.
Right.
And all kinds of things. But yeah, sometimes, a lot of it is just letting myself off the hook.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we're going to hit pause for now. This conversation with Lynne was just too good to fit into one episode, so I'm breaking it into two. Tune in next time to hear the rest when we dive into some awesome strategies for managing ADHD symptoms like using digital reminders, building good habits, and the magic of body doubling. Plus, Lynne will tell us how online memes led her to her ADHD diagnosis and her journey with medication. And we'll also talk about just plain being kinder to ourselves and the impact of having the right tools to navigate this life with ADHD. So you don't want to miss it. Thank you for hanging out with us today, and we'll catch you in the next episode of Chin Hairs and F-Bombs, Conversations with Girlfriends.